Everyone's had a good start to their week. We had not start. We're in the middle of the week now, aren't we? Had an amazing podcast evening last night. So we have our morning editions now, and we have the Tuesday evening edition. And the Tuesday evening edition is designed to get guests on and just go for it and talk over any and all issues. And it's for those who probably are more politically inclined, so junkies politically. Sorry, got a mozzie flying around in my house. And it can go for hours. Like last night, we went for over 4 hours. But it was a fascinating conversation. We got a lot of response to it, a lot of comments, good viewership. So it's all good fun. And last night it was with me, what's becoming my now regular panelist, if you want to call him that. I find it kind of weird that I'm, just a little person like me, nobody has now got panelist on his podcast. So that's to me amusing. But Ben's been terrific, and he brought one of his mates, Stephen, on. Stephen is a lawyer based in the southeastern suburbs of Melbourne. It was actually really interesting. He's a down-to-earth guy. He follows his footy. He's into the horses. Just your normal, typical Aussie guy. He's right into One Nation. And he works in the legal system. So we got some really good insights last night. And this is a guy who's been working in the legal system for over 40 years. So we got really good insights into the legal system, bail, all that sort of thing. It's well worth a listen. If you can't sit there for 4 hours, just break it down into 4 1-hour episodes and maybe listen to 1 hour a week. It's just terrific content. And we talked about all sorts of things, not just legal. We talked politics, we talked legal, we talked the issues facing young Australians, housing, immigration, you name it, we talked about it. And it was just a great conversation. So certainly look that up on my YouTube channel. We'll be spreading the word on X later today after this episode, actually. But I really highly recommend last night's episode. We've had some really good ones, but because of the way I conduct them, I don't want to talk over people. I want to have my guests come on and have their say. I don't want restrictions where, like you get on News 24, oh, well, we've got to go now, we've run out of time. That's why they go longer. But they're far more interesting conversations, I think. So we'll see how it goes, I'm not here to get any corporate dollars or anything like that. It's just to get people together and talk. So last night was a really, really good one. If you want to actually get some really good information, there was things there that Stephen produced that I didn't know. Things Ben produced I didn't know. A very, very well-read and intelligent young man, Ben. He gives me hope. Now, we don't agree on a number of things, but it's about we're both Aussies. We're both Australian first. We both want best for our countries. And in coming to that, everyone can have different views on how to go about it. But we can engage in a conversation. And I think credit to Ben, like me and Stephen are two boomers, and he's got the patience to listen to us and the respect to listen to us. It's fantastic actually to see in our youth. So it's well worth a look. So I'm pumping that episode up from last night. We'll share it a bit today. And go from there. Anyway, on to the podcast. As usual, and she's grim today, we give you a look at the weather across our bay. And there it is. Isn't that lovely? Overcast, raining. Not so much wind, thank God. When it winds and it rains, it's horrible. But that does not look good. A skyline like that means it's probably set in for a day, maybe 2 days, and it's just going to rain and be miserable. And that is Melbourne in winter. We haven't had many of those days. We need them. Otherwise, we're in for a hot and dry summer. I don't mind my summers, but I don't like it when it gets like, mid 35s for 6 days running or higher, and you don't have we've got a comment already. And we don't have any water going around, so we're all on restrictions. So we've had a few of those summers in the past. Not recently. They've been pretty good. But, yeah, we need this rain. And so I dare say so to our farmers. Let's have a look at this. I think I got a comment. We do. Magpie Army. Oh, my God. I forgive you. G'day, mate. Interesting 4 months coming up in Victoria. Well, Magpie Army, we certainly have. You guys, the Magpie Cheers squad have got an interesting month ahead of them. To make that wild card, they're playing good footy. One of the kids I used to coach in basketball, Braden Maynard, you'd be loving him. A lot of clubs and supporters hate him, but they'd pick him first time in their team. Great kid, great family. So if he ever gets to listen to this show, shout out to Braden and his brother Corey, who unfortunately had a degenerative hip. I think it was that cut down his AFL career early. He could have been as good as Braden. So, fantastic family. They've got fantastic parents. So, thanks for the comment, Magpie Army. Feel free to contribute as we go through the day, or through the morning episode, I should say. So that's it. My pushback against Islamophobia, my tribute to Charlie Kirk is to do my daily Bible passage. So let's get into that. I'm no evangelist, but it's just something I do. Albo tells me I can't be Islamophobic. That's fine. I'll be all over my Christianity then, just to shove it up them. Human beings are made. We're into Genesis. Oh, God, it's deep and meaningful at the moment. Genesis 1.26 through 24. Within God's world, human beings have a special place and special responsibilities for that world. But the rhythm of life also calls for rest. So if you're a Christian, you know what I'm about to read pretty much. Then God said, and now we will make human beings. They will be like us and resemble us. They will have power over the fish, the birds, and all animals, domestic and wild, large and small. So God created human beings, making them to be like himself. He created them male and female, blessed them and said, have many children, so that your descendants will live all over the earth and bring it under their control. I'm putting you in charge of the fish, the birds, and all other wild animals. I have provided all kinds of grain and all kinds of fruit for you to eat. But for all the wild animals and for all the birds, I provided grass and leafy plants for food. And it was done. God looked at everything he had made, and he was very pleased. Evening passed and morning came. That was the sixth day. And so the whole universe was completed. By the seventh day, God finished what he had been doing and stopped working. He blessed the seventh day and set it apart as a special day, because by that day he had completed his creation and stopped working. And that is how the universe was created. There we go. The Genesis story. How often have we seen that in films and books and all sorts of other different things? Most importantly there, God created male and female, which is a big issue, especially over in America at the moment, in what they call the WNBA, which is the female version of the NBA. We'll get on to that in a little bit. To cover another issue on what we're doing. That's what actually funny enough, it does this a lot when I read these Bible passages. It actually segues into one of the things I'm going to talk about this morning. So, mate, if you were listening, some Magpie Army. So, interesting discussion yesterday with Mark Nicholson. Yeah, well, I'm assuming you're talking from our podcast, Magpie, and we talked about so many things. But yeah, Mark Nicholson, I'm very impressed by him. I'm not too sure whether you're into the One Nation stuff or whether you listened to their launch. I was listening to it live, and his speech just got the hairs on the back of my neck to rise. I mean, that was an amazing little speech that he put up. Exactly. I hope he can make it, like we were talking about yesterday, I hope he can make it into Parliament. My co-hosts seem confident he will. I'm not so confident in the northern region. That's where all your rampant socialists are. So they're not going to vote One Nation. So let's see. Hopefully he can scrape in, because I think he'll be amazing to have in our upper house. If you haven't watched it, go to Avi Yemeni's channel. And I have some issues with Avi's broadcasting, but he was the only one live streaming it that I could see, him and Rukshan. And listen to the speech he gave at the start of that launch. Love it. Love it as a Victorian, as a Melburnian. Loved every bit of it. Today, we're going to last night was all about Australia first with me, Ben and Stephen. Glad to see Magpie Army. Be interesting to know if you listen to the whole thing. I think it was one of our better episodes. It was just fun, actually. Stephen was a knockabout bloke. I don't know. We had an echo going on there. We just thought, bugger it, work through it, because Stephen didn't have much knowledge on tech, and so we soldiered on as good Aussies do, and it was a great discussion, I think, in the end. As for today, we're going to go overseas a little, because I think these things affect us here. So, for example, if you don't follow things overseas, like one of the big things, for example, in the UK is Restore and Reform are talking about uniting to defeat Labor. I think it's something that needs to happen in Australia, but we're miles away from it because of egos. I think One Nation and the LNP and whoever else is on the right need, under Menzies, if you read the history of the Liberal Party at its roots, not what the Liberal Party is today. So at the beginning, Menzies was able to bring all the conservative parties together and form a new conservative party called the Liberal Party. Stephen Peake, yes, Magpie, he's a good man, isn't he? Only met him for the first time last night. But Ben was telling me after the podcast certain things, and it's frightening how similar we are, actually. I'm not a lawyer. I'm a sports coach. He's a lawyer, but on just about everything else, we tick the boxes. Apparently, Stephen is not real keen on flying in planes, and he prefer to drive. I'm exactly the same. But, yeah, good man. Good man. So in the UK, they're talking about, for example, joining forces. I would like to see them join forces with the Conservatives as well, because I think Kemi Badenoch, overall, she's doing a really good job. There's some things she does I don't agree with, but there's things Nigel Farage does I don't agree with. There's things Pauline Hanson says I don't agree with, but overwhelmingly I support her. You know, I agree with her a lot more than I agree with, say, Jess Wilson or the new leader, what's his name, Ben Carroll. God, got to think about who our Premier is now. I certainly agree with Pauline Hanson over Albo. Angus Taylor, I think, is doing a good job, but he's got no air. He just can't get his message out. There's a lot of things that he's saying good, but then he's got idiots like Jane Humer under him that just destroy his message. So he's in a really tough position where Pauline's party is united 100% behind her. So she's got an easier road than Angus Taylor does. Angus Taylor's nearly got mission impossible with the factions within his party he's got to try and satisfy. But I think he's doing the best job he can. There's a lot of things he says that I don't agree with too. But overall, I think he's got the right idea. So it'd be nice to get all the conservative forces in Australia joined together and come up with some common policy that we can all get behind. And let's send this. Let's not defeat the Labor Party once. Let's send them into 20 years in the political wilderness and get our country back. So that's what they're looking to try and achieve. They're putting their egos aside in England to see if they can achieve it. We'll find out whether the unity wins, the unity ticket, or the ego one wins. Excuse me, coffee time. If you've watched my morning shows, you know how difficult it is for me to get up early, so I've got to have my coffee. I apologise when I take a sip. But if I don't take my regular sip, she gets cold, and that's disgusting. So another couple of big things happening in America is at the moment in the WNBA, they've got this big trans woman thing. I've been talking about this the last couple of days with Sophie Cunningham, and it's becoming bigger by the day. It's becoming a real big issue because the WNBA is the LGBT activist group who support trans are really gunning for Sophie Cunningham in a big way. But the general public are backing Sophie Cunningham, so they're pushing back. And the league can't afford to get the general public offside. It's going to be a fascinating battle. But now everyone over there is talking about it. So I do want to point out a bit of the hypocrisy. And also, I think you've got to be careful, and I might cop some heat for this, but you've got to be careful who you follow on social media. Now, unlike most boomers, I'm pretty much across it because I get to know a lot of the Zoomers and Generation X and all this sort of thing because I'm on social media a lot. They get surprised that I'm competent across social media. Boomers aren't supposed to be like that, apparently. So I know all the groupers, the NSN, the influencers, the podcasters, the socialists, all that sort of thing. I see all the arguments from all sides. from the Democrats, from the Republicans, from the Conservatives in England to the Labor and all the radicals in England, as well as the Australian politics. And you've got to be careful. One thing, I'm lucky with my age that I'm across a lot of things. I know my history. I know my politics. And what's I'm disappointed at is the amount of influencers, and they are influential. They have millions of people that follow them, that listen into them, and they can manipulate the way those. A lot of followers are like Magpie. I'm sure he's a dyed in the wool, black and white Collingwood diehard, and they can do no wrong in his eyes. Maybe they can. I'm a dyed in the wool Richmond supporter, and they're testing my loyalties at the moment. But I will always support my club, no matter what. Because that's the way we were raised. You pick a team and that's your team. You get behind it. And that's why, AFL football, at least on the supporter side, is so great. But you can't treat your politics the same. You've got to listen to every politician, take on board what they're saying, think it through and say, is it right? Is it historically factual? And unfortunately, we, especially with our young ones, we have got, I know, a lot of influences, the selling of the old bullshit salad. And two that are high on that list is Tucker Carlson, and I'm going to show you a clip of him in a minute, and Megyn Kelly. I'm going to show you a clip of her now. Now, if you're on social media, you probably should know who Megyn Kelly is. If you're not on social media, well, maybe look her up if you need to. Megyn Kelly, she was like Tucker Carlson in that she was employed by corporate news at Fox News and I think it was NBC. And she's a person that flip-flops. She's a person that's taken on board. She hasn't taken on board the Candace Owens nutcase because I think Candace Owens is an absolute lunatic. But what she has done, and I'll see if I can find it. Forgive me as I go through. What Megyn Kelly has done, oh, my God. I just the clips I'm going to show you. What Megyn Kelly has done is with Candace Owens, she hasn't called her out for a lot of her bullshit. So she's I don't know the best way to describe her. But she's in my opinion, she's a devious bitch. You've got to be, the one thing I admire about Pauline Hanson, for example, is she consistent. For 30 years, she said the same thing, put across the same policy. You know what she stands for. Like so many influencers, Megyn Kelly flip-flops. So on one issue, she says she's not going to call Candace Owens out on a wild accusations about Eureka Kirk, of which she has no proof. If she had proof and she could come at this as Candace Owens, great. But right from nearly day one, Megyn Kelly has not called out Candace Owens on anything, refuses to do it. Yet, Megyn Kelly, the same one who worked at NBC, now that's really important, has found the ability to call out Sophie Cunningham about her stance on trans women, men in female sports. Now, that is really interesting. And I'll tell you why it's really interesting. It's not there, must be mine. Look somewhere else. Damn it. I always find those clips and I still haven't gotten the habit of saving them when I should. But Megyn Kelly comes out and she jumps in all over Caitlin Clark. Now, I'll show you a different clip about Caitlin Clark in a minute. But here she is. Megyn, here we go. Got it. There's two clips I want you to hear, Megyn Kelly. Now, this is why you've got to be, they flip-flop. They change their position. So I'm going to show you, and I do funny, the Megyn Kelly show, and they write her up in third person. It's quite hilarious, I think. But I'm going to share this with you, and I'm going to share a couple of clips, and then I'm going to share another clip that I put on a feed. So just bear with me to get you through this. And I'm just giving you as an example, be careful of who you listen to, all right? Because there's just some devious people on the internet. And this bitch, sorry for my French, She's right up
rears
there.
its head in your sport. Caitlin Clark was directly asked to speak on it, and she was cowardly. She refused to do it. It is one thing to inject politics into your sport where they don't belong, like Colin Kaepernick kneeling in the middle of professional football games. It's quite another when little girls are getting the shit kicked out of them in their sport, and you are the most famous woman.
Now, this is very interesting. She's talking about little girls who've got trans kids, boys transitioning into girls, saying that they're getting the shit kicked out of them by those ones. Just remember that before we go to our next clip.
Basketball, and you're directly asked, as the issue rears its head in your sport, you punt on it. You won't say anything. You'd rather let the 12-year-olds handle it. F that. Caitlin Clark was directly asked to speak on it, and she was cowardly. She refused to do it.
This is the same woman who's too cowardly to make a comment on the Candace Owens, Eureka Kirk issue. Talk about hypocritical. Let me get you into something. I won't retort to that. I'll show you something. Caitlin Clark is a professional basketballer who's copped all sorts of heat. Everyone in the WNBA is out to get her. She's trying to just get on with playing basketball. She's a sports person. She's not a politician. She just doesn't jump into these issues. Sophie Cunningham, to her credit, did. I respect her for that. But she didn't need to if she didn't want to. If a sports person just wants to go out there and play sport, kudos to them. And here is the perfect response to Megyn Kelly. I've got a bit on Megyn Kelly. So here's this guy. Just have a listen on what this guy here says in response to Megyn Kelly.
Got a lot of pushback. So Sophie Cunningham had an opinion about trans athletes last week. And, predictably, that's a hot button topic. Got a lot of pushback. By the way, her opinion is one, according to polls, that over 50% of Americans agree with. But be that as it may, Caitlin Clark had no interest diving in when asked about the same topic.
Not really a discussion we really have in our locker room. I think it's for leagues and the governing bodies to work with their athletes to find solutions, but our focus is on basketball, and that's what we talk about and how we can get wins, and obviously we didn't do that tonight, so need to find an area to improve in that way.
Do you have any, reaction to the...
I just answered for you.
I'm good with that, and I'm good with Sophie. I'm good with both. It's a free country. Megyn Kelly's a very popular provocateur, podcaster, and she called her a coward for not having an opinion. So I don't know exactly what courage looks like. I can't necessarily define it. I've always thought cops, firemen, and military personnel that put their life on the line to protect me and my family, that probably cracks the top 1 or 2. I don't think political opinions crack my top 10. I think believing that political comments are courageous is a misdiagnosis of expertise. Listen, I don't ask my general contractor to fix my cavities, and I don't ask my dentist to tile room. I don't know why we demand that our athletes, we don't do this with Bobby Flay, we don't do it with Gordon Ramsay. Could you have an opinion on tariffs? We don't ask Bill Maher or Ben Shapiro, could you die a zone defense? But there's something about athletes. And by the way, if you're an athlete, you can't win. LeBron and Aaron Rodgers dip their toe in the pool with politics, they get crushed. Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods said, nah, pass, they get crushed. So where's the win? My take is Caitlin owes nobody in the media an assist for a game she didn't choose to play.
Exactly.
Politics is divisive. It is a Shark Tank. I've often warned people in my industry, sports is fun, politics is awful. And it's interesting, for about 3 days during the midterms and about 3 days during our election for a president, you can have it. You can have it after that. So I don't know Megyn Kelly's definition of courage, cops, firemen, military, probably my top 3. Leaning in, I mean, let's be honest about politics. People always say, keep politics out of sports.
Exactly.
That's not true. You like politics when you agree with it.
Well, exactly. Again,
right? I don't think that's courage to be provocative and get people to say things that I can feed my audience, whether it's left-leaning or a right-leaning audience. But what is it about athletes who are obsessed, who have these incredibly refined skills where they've gone a mile deep on specific traits? Shooting a ball, throwing a football, using a 6-iron, serving a tennis ball. They're great at it. It's taken hours of focus. Sometimes athletes, not a criticism or reality, are a bit lopsided. I don't look for athletes for political acumen. I really don't. And I don't believe in shut up and dribble, but I also don't believe in speak up and dribble for everybody. If you choose sportscaster or athlete or chef to have a strong political opinion, it is up to you. I'd warn you it's divisive. People now debate when they lose elections if they're rigged when it appears they're not. So it's where's the win for an athlete? Michael Jordan and Tiger respectfully pass. Republicans buy sneakers, attacked. LeBron and Aaron Rodgers have an opinion, attacked. I got no problem with Sophie Cunningham's opinion and no problem at all Caitlin Clark passing up on a shot. So Sophie Cunningham
could not have said it better. But in my day, and I know I hate saying that because I sound like my father, but in my day when we're raised up on sport, politics was like when you had the family reunion. There was no politics, no religion, because it always led to arguments. Sports competitions should be politically and ideologically neutral. It should be just all about the sport. Because when you get 50,000 at the G or 100,000 at the G, it's going to get divided 50-50. You know, I guarantee you at the MCG when they do Welcome to Country, 90% of the people in that stadium are thinking this is bullshit. Or they're not listening, or they don't care. But there's 10% that are all rabid about it. So we don't need the Welcome to Country in our sport. We don't need to told, oh, well, you can't be a racist, you can't be a bigot, you got to think this way, you got to think that way, which we keep continually being fed by our sports. Now, if those sports people, as that gentleman just said, want to have an opinion, that's their right to have an opinion. But if they choose not to have an opinion, that is also their right. And unlike Candace Owens, who forces, once you start putting your opinion out there, you are inviting debate. I put my opinion out there. If people want to disagree with me, they can. That's because I put my opinion out there. If though I was a private person that just got about my business and couldn't be bothered with that, then no one's got the right to shove a microphone in my face and demand I have an opinion. I can choose to not have an opinion. I can choose to have a private life, or I can choose to put myself in. It took me to do this podcast quite a few, I'd say months. I did consider it for months because I just wanted my nightly podcast once a week and do all that. I didn't want to potentially put my thing out there. But with what's going on in Australia, I decided it was more important to get our country back and trying to do my little bit to help with that. And this guy is spot on. We got another comment from Magpie or somebody. We'll see. God, Mag, you sound like, mate, I might forgive you for being Collingwood because you sound like my type of guy. Tucker Carlson, old man, is lifelong, I hope you're not calling me old man, is lifelong CI, huge red flag, obvious about his Christian. Well, I don't think he's necessarily a Christian. AFL is riddled with politics, strong Labor connection. Absolutely. That's ruining. It's sad to say, I love my AFL still. The Tigers win on the weekend. Sammy Laylaw. I was born and raised on that sport, but I think the people who are running it are on the verge of ruining it. And there was we've segued out for a little bit. We'll come back to Megan. But there was a thing on Footy Classified last night where Eddie Maguire, sorry Magpie, I'm going to tread on your toes here. I think Eddie Maguire did a lot of good for Collingwood, but his opinions on the game overall I don't think are great. And he's talking about trying to bring in an all-Ireland team for the women first and then the men second. I mean, there's enough teams in the AFL that are struggling, and every team is going to go through what my Tigers are going through eventually. Thank God. I mean, it's hard at the moment, but thank God the Tigers did what they did and brought in some young talent when they did, because clubs who have to go through what Richmond did when Tassie come into it are in all sorts of trouble. Tasmania is going to be a juggernaut. And if it's not a juggernaut, then they're an appalling failure. But they're already talking about a 20th team. We don't have that many millions of people to justify the talent you need for 20 professional franchises. We've probably got 2 or 3 too many already. And the standard of the game goes down beyond it. But man, that was a segue. Magpie, you got me sidetracked. So anyway, let's get back into what we're talking about. So, oh God, where am I? You distracted me, Magpie. So let's get back to young Megan. Megan. We've got another one of Megan, and excuse the French. Now she's talking about, and there's a purpose to what I'm saying. Megan is one of these a sycophant. She jumps on the coattails over certain thing to try and get clicks. I'll show you why she's a hypocrite. We're getting to that. This is a second clip. There's 3 clips I want to show you. So this time she's banging on about a WNBA coach who wore a trans T-shirt to a game.
Fool, you should take a seat, madam. You don't know anything. You're an ignorant fool. You should take a seat, madam, and stop speaking about this. There are biological men in women's locker rooms. Why don't you take 2 minutes?
Okay, I'm going to jump in here. I don't agree with this WNBA coach, but Megan Kelly, this is where she's a hypocrite. She lives in the land of free speech. Now, I've got no problem with that WNBA coach airing her opinion, as long as she doesn't try to cancel someone else's, which is what they're doing with Sophie Cunningham. Here is Megan Kelly. Let's play this again. She's a podcaster. What gives her the right to say whatever she wants to do? Some of it is totally outrageous if you ever follow her. But we'd have people like this in Australia. Listen to her again.
You don't know anything. You're an ignorant fool. You should take a seat, madam, and stop speaking.
So anyone Megan Kelly disagrees with has to take a seat and stop speaking. Now, I'm on the same side as Megan. Well, I don't know what side Megan Kelly is on. You'll see why in a minute. But I'm on the same side as Sophie Cunningham. I'm against the stance of the WNBA coach that's worn the trans thing and is having her say back. But if you agree in free speech, the most important thing is you protect the speech of those you disagree with the most. You don't demand they sit down and stop speaking. You have a debate. And this is what I do on my podcast last night, for example. You have a debate with people, and I welcome everybody on, and you have a discussion, and those who watch and listen can make up their own minds. She's a hypocrite. She says she's all about America first, but she's just counseled against one of the most important aspects of America, and that's the gift of free speech. We don't have it here in Australia, but they do have it enshrined in their constitution in America, and she's telling one of her fellow citizens to sit down and shut up because she doesn't know what she's talking about. Doesn't matter whether you know what you're talking about. Doesn't matter whether you're right or wrong. In America, you got the right to speech.
About this. There are biological men in women's locker rooms. Why don't you take 2 minutes and listen to Riley Gaines's account?
Now, just remember all this she's saying, because the next clip is going to be a beauty.
Of what it was like swimming against Leah Thomas in the NCAA championships. Why don't you just take 2 minutes and listen to the testimonial of one of our most famous athletes who is outspoken on this issue? It absolutely is happening. Ask any member of the UPenn women's swim team from 2 years ago who were told they needed to get therapy when they said they did not want to change into their bathing suits in front of an intact male, Will Thomas, who changed his name to Leah and was prancing around with his penis out in their locker room.
Just remember what she's saying here. She's on the bandwagon. She's become a warrior. There's a reason I'm showing this. This is the influencer. She jumps from one subject to another. This woman is a total hypocrite. You'll see why in a minute.
Absolute ignorant fool.
She called her a fool for backing trans kids. Very interesting.
I just think we should be inclusive. Of whom?
Wow, I'm glad you asked, Megan, because the internet has receipts. And if you're like me and you're into it, oh, God, I hope I've still got this. Where is it? Oh, I had it. Don't tell me I've lost it. I'm going to just go. Oh, God, I had it. Bear with me. I've got to find this in. Oh, my God. I must have bounced out. See, I'm not as good with the tech as some might think sometimes. Just give me a tick. That is so annoying. Folks, bear with me, guys. You'll understand why I had it all teed up in another tab, but for some reason it's dropped out. Here we go. Got it. Let's see if we can get this up.
Perfect pair for your iPhone, and it replaces three chargers. So when I travel, I don't have extra cables, I don't have to pack extras. This covers my phone, my watch, and anything USB Type-C. It's probably the most useful thing in my travel bag. This is.
Well, the people with me on stage right now are all.
Now, this is Megyn Kelly in her NBC days. She's just raging against trans athletes encroaching onto women's sport, about trans kids, about all this sort of thing. It wasn't that long ago. This was Megyn Kelly on NBC.
Well, the people with me on stage right now are all transgender kids who want others to know it is possible to transition socially with love and support and acceptance within a family and a community.
This person, she's just telling someone else for the very same reason she was ignorant and needed to sit down and shut up. Look what she's promoting. This is why you got to be very careful of the influencers that you follow out there. You need to do your research and know what they've been standing for and look them up. Every one of these influencers has history on the net. The internet is nearly eternal. You've got to look them up. Okay,
please welcome 16-year-old Nicole, 12-year-old Daniel, 14-year-old Gia, 15-year-old Landon, and 13-year-old Stella. Their parents are also here. Morning, everyone. Morning. Also joining me in our special audience is Gira Goldstein, who's a transgender woman who is the co-founder, along with Jen Grosslandler, who you just met, of the Gender Cool Project.
That's the transgender woman. The man who's transitioned into a female. This is what she was raging about.
A new movement that is being launched today. We're going to tell you all about it, and it's actually really important. So, all right, welcome to you all. Everybody nervous? Everyone sufficiently nervous? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stop. No.
All right, so I want to start with you, Daniel, because I love the Oscar Wilde quote.
Oh, yes.
That you tell people, just to sum up it.
Now, this is a young girl that's been convinced, a teenager, to go from a natural female body into a male body, and Megyn Kelly is giving this a platform.
Your experience, what is it?
Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. So, yeah.
And what does that mean to you? What has that meant to you through this process?
Basically, to just be who you are, because everyone else is already taken. You can't be I can't be Landon. Mm-hmm. I'm me. So,
Stella, I know you say you knew from a very young.
Who put that in that kid's head? Be who you are when you were born a girl, and that young girl, because that's what she is, has been going through obviously treatments, drug treatments, all that to make her appear male, to change her voice, to change her puberty, change everything about her, and her parents are okay with that. I mean, you should be allowed to transition until you're well and truly an adult. I'd say at least 21. And there should be nowhere near our kids.
You understood that you were a girl. So how? Like, what told you that?
So this is a boy who's transitioned into a girl. This is what Megyn Kelly was just raging about in the program, swearing her head off, carrying on, telling people to sit down and shut up because they had the same stance. That coach who was telling them to sit down and shut up had a T-shirt saying, support trans kids. These are trans kids. Megyn Kelly's giving them a nationwide platform. Megyn Kelly has got a bigger platform, as does the NBC, than that coach?
Well, it really started when I was 2. I have some friends who live down in Portland.
2. She was 2.
And they, like one of my friends had a Tinkerbell dress, and I loved it so much, and so I just took it home and then played with it so often, because yes, I was a fairy fan. And so then I came out age 9. So.
Wow.
Age 9.
Gia, is it true that you actually wrote a letter the day before 8th grade, that you wrote a letter to all of your fellow students informing them of this?
Yeah, that is true. I felt like that writing a letter, it gave me more confidence on the first day of school, just to like.
So she's another boy who's transitioned into being a female. That we can go through. You can look at later if you like. I'll try to remember. I won't guarantee it. I'll try to remember to put that into my description below, but into my comment section. But that's the double standard of influences. You know, it wasn't that long ago that Megyn Kelly was in the NBC, the National Broadcasting Corporation in America, and she had a program supporting trans kids. Yet now she's raging against trans kids. She's saying before you can't attack women like people wanted her to take a stance on Candace, but now she's attacking a person like Caitlin Clark. So she got all offended because she refused to engage in a certain political issue, but now she's getting offended because Caitlin Clark won't engage in a certain political issue. She's now raging against trans kids and trans women in women's sports, but a few years ago, she was giving a public platform to it. It is beyond belief that anyone gives this woman any credibility whatsoever. We got Magpie back. I got to show you. This is great. Love it, Magpie. First listened to you yesterday, mate. Can't believe how many things we agree with. And yes, Eddie is insufferable. That's coming from a Collingwood supporter. I think there's a few. On Eddie's defense, I think there's a few in the AFL at the moment that are insufferable. Eddie's not the worst of them, but yeah, he can be up there sometimes. That's one thing you can't dispute with Eddie, as he is black and white through and through. But I think sometimes he's a little bit too black and white. But and he doesn't do Collingwood supporters a lot of favours through that because he's so I don't know what you call it, patriarchal or whatever it is. I don't know. Anyway, I think overall he's been good for the sport, but yeah, sometimes he's insufferable and some of the stuff he comes up with. My God, just leave the sport alone for a couple of years. It's in the trouble it is because they're playing around with the rules and the makeup of the competition and bringing in new teams. It's just every year there's something else. Can we please get back to the great game it was once before? Anyway, let's hope common sense prevails. So that's Megyn Kelly for you. All right. Now, I'm also going to – so if you get Megyn Kelly on there, don't listen to her. She'll flip-flop. She's all for clicks. She was part of the MAGA conservative movement. Now she's not part of the MAGA conservative movement. She was pro-Trump. Now she hates Trump. I mean, she took the stage in the election with Trump to encourage people to vote for him. Now she's trying to undermine him as a president. Where do you stand, Megyn? You're an influencer. Personally, I think you're a silly bitch. But anyway, that's just me. I'm just a little nobody on the other side of the Pacific Ocean that no one in America will listen to. But if you're an Australian, pick your influences carefully. Let me go to my last tab. We're doing better than I thought. It's been a fun day. Where is it? Should have had this up. I'm getting a little bit better with this stuff. One day I'll come back and I will be able to. I saved, I think, early this morning. Maybe I didn't. Sure, I saved. Now, am I in the? I might not be in the bookmark. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. Yeah, that's not it. That's not it. That's not it. Oh my God. Problem when you go into bookmarks, I found it doesn't put them exactly. Maybe there's somebody, here it is, can give me a tip on. Now, this is a guy called Daryl Cooper. Daryl Cooper is a lunatic. He puts himself out there as some sort of historical expert, but he gets all his history wrong. But this was an interesting conversation. So if you're a groper type who just hates Jews, you're probably not going to like this. All right. But whether you hate or love Jews or whatever, the Holocaust was an historical fact. All right. It happened. You got all these people arguing it didn't happen. It happened. All right. There's overwhelming evidence for it. The further we get away from it, I was raised by parents who went through that, lived that history. And they educated us about what happened in Germany with not just the Jews. The problem with the Holocaust is, hold on. The problem with the Holocaust is it just is made about the Jews. The fact about the Holocaust, it wasn't just the Jews that went to those camps. It was all sorts of people. The Jews were prominent for sure. And I've got no doubt that you've only got to look at the veterans that liberated those camps and the evidence they compiled, and it's all recorded. You know, if you really want to do the research, go do it. You'll find out what is the history. There's plenty of evidence. You know, the common theme is bring the receipts. Well, with a lot of this, sorry, guys, I'm just trying to get this up. Oh, my God, I've done it again. Me and I do. One day I'm going to win Touch Lotto and I'll get a production person, a manager for my podcast that can do all this in the background while I'm talking. But we've just got this idiot who tries to deny the Holocaust, but he's having this conversation with Tucker Carlson. And Tucker Carlson, I'll try and show you, does this thing with his arms crossed all the time. Now, either he's in an office that's awfully cold. I've looked up the body language. When someone has their arms crossed, I've looked up body language experts on the thing. I could be wrong here, so I'm just saying what I've found. And apparently when you cross your arms, it's an indicator all the time, and Tucker Carlson does it all the time. You're not telling the truth. There's something you don't want people to fight. It's a defensive stance. If you look at Ian Carroll there, he thinks he's telling the truth. He's open. That's the way I speak. My arms are open. I talk like that. But if you got your arms crossed, it's not because you're cold. Ian Carroll's not cold. You'll see in a minute. Anyway, let's show you the clip first, and then we'll comment on it a little later, afterwards.
I was talking to a common friend of ours. I won't say who, but a common friend, and he's Jewish but not Zionist and not religiously Jewish. He grew up Jewish, and he mentioned that when he was a kid, there was a period of time where he was afraid to take showers. He wouldn't take showers because his parents had drilled into him the story of the showers at Auschwitz and stuff. There was an interview a few years back with Winona Ryder when she made the TV series of that Philip Roth book, Plot Against America or Plot Against the United States, where she said that when she was a little girl, she's a privileged American actress, you know, that when she was a little girl, there was a period of years where she wouldn't sleep in her bedroom. She would sleep with the lights on in the hallway right outside her parents' door, because she knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that one day her neighbors, the parents of her friends, were going to break down their door and drag their family off to be murdered. This is a little girl. And I remember actually when I was at your show in Fort Worth, you were with Roseanne Barr. And I remember she told you a story about how she was a little girl and her parents sat her down and were having her watch all this footage of people being bulldozed into pits and, you know, all of these emaciated, naked people, you know, being liberated from the camp, all these horrible things. It's just a little tiny girl. She said it gave her like weird twitches and nightmares for years and years afterwards. And it's like, I get it on one level, right?
I get it too.
Like those parents, all they think they're doing is preparing their kids to live in a dangerous world. But when you look at it from the outside, you realize like that's a form of pretty extreme child abuse.
They're also teaching their kids to hate. Because I'll just speak for myself. If I felt that
child abuse and teaching their kids to hate, to teach them about historical events that happened to their people, their Jewish cousins, family. A lot of these parents that grew up lost family in the Holocaust. They lost their parents, they lost their brothers, they lost their sisters, lost entire swathes of their family. do you think they're not going to teach their kids about that history? I mean, as Christians, we get taught about our history, what the initial Christians went through after Jesus was crucified. They were fed to the bloody lions in the Colosseums. They were burned at the stakes in the Bolshevik Revolution in Russia. Christians were oppressed, sent to camps, sent to gulags, worked to death, just went missing and never seen again. History, human history, is littered with events where people were murdered. Look at what happened in Armenia when the Turks, the Ottoman Empire, committed a genocide against the Armenian Christians. Crucified tens of thousands of them. So this bullshit about, how it's child abuse to teach kids history, the rubbish that it's about to teach people how to hate, it's garbage. If you don't want to teach people how to hate, then don't promote the religion of Islam as Tucker Carlson regularly does. There's no religion that hates more than the Islamic faith, especially the radical ones. Though I'm not too sure. It gets a bit blurred which one's the radicals, which ones are the moderates. But this is a guy who regularly promotes Qatar, regularly promotes Islam while proclaiming that he's a Christian. And he's saying that it teaches people to hate to teach them about history. Bizarre.
By the way, and I agree with you. I get why trauma persists through generations. I do.
I'll get back to
like
that.
a liberal. I really do understand that. And I think it's real, and I think the trauma is real. Like, awful things were done to the Jews in Europe, there's no doubt. But
he always ends up with the
if somebody told me that my neighbors could rise up at any minute and kill me.
And I doubt, I've worked within the Jewish community. I've got a lot of Jewish friends. I don't think they teach that at all. They teach the history. They're probably teaching it now, considering what they're going through in Australia and around the world. But I've been in Melbourne for 40 years, and I've worked in the Jewish community as a sports coach. I've got some really good Jewish friends. I've got good Christian friends, good Islamic friends. If you want to call me a Zionist, do I think that Israel should be the homeland of the Jewish people? Yes, I do. Just like I think India should be home for the Indians and all that sort of nonsense. So it's not like being a Zionist is not a radical sort of thing. Though people like Tucker Carlson like to make it out. You notice the guy says, oh, he's Jewish, but he's not a Zionist. Okay, all right. I find that a bit of a strange thing. See what, you're denying your history again? I mean, Israel is the historical homeland of the Jewish people. There can be no doubt about that. Read your bloody Bible.
I would hate my neighbors. I would hate any nation where that was true. Why wouldn't I?
I mean, really the only answer to why wouldn't I is Christianity.
Why? Right.
So
I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I was raised Catholic. My mum was a totally, dedicated Catholic. Sorry, guys, got to stop sharing. I mean, the idiocy in that 2.5-minute conversation is beyond belief. I mean, if you know your history, like my parents, again, I keep raising my parents. My parents, see, Magpie didn't catch you saying goodbye. Hopefully got to get back to work, Bob. Good on you, Magpie. But I'll be listening in when I can. Love your work, mate. Yeah, same to you, Magpie. Good luck on the weekend, those Pie supporters. But the absolute nonsense of what those two were talking about is beyond belief. I was raised by World War II parents. Dad fought in World War II. Mum supported him. They got married just after World War II, had all us kids. And you didn't have to be Jewish to be fed all the news about the Holocaust. We were raised with that. I mean, it didn't stop me wanting to have a shower. It didn't stop me worrying about the neighbours that could happen to us as Christians. Don't forget, there were a lot of Christians in those camps that died. That's what I was saying before. It wasn't just Jews. So anytime you get an oppressive, dictatorial type government, they're going to oppress people they don't agree with or they dislike, or as Tucker Carlson says, they hate. But I've never worried about my next door neighbour unless he's, making too much noise. I've lived in, one of the things we've been lucky living in Australia, and I think most Jewish people until recently, that's one of the reasons we've had a strong Jewish demographic in this country. he wants to go O-U-T. I can't say the word. If I do it, he'll go nuts. So that'd be cruel. I don't want to be cruel. So you just got to pick your influences. And young people, if I get any of you listening out there, trust me, Tucker Carlson is not the man he says he is. He's an absolute, there's something seriously wrong with that man. There's something seriously wrong with Candace Owens. There's something seriously wrong with Megyn Kelly, which I just proved on receipts. You could do a 3-hour episode on Tucker Carlson with receipts. Tell you who you should follow, the Milk Bar TV thing, Nathan Livingston. Look him up on X. He's brilliant. He's an Aussie too. And he does some great things where he brings the receipts from their past and compares them what they're saying now. You soon figure out who are the morons on the influencer side, on the social media side, by following Nathan. So my today warning was be careful of the influencers you listen to. And that would include me. You'll find me being pretty consistent. One, I haven't been like Tucker Carlson. I haven't been attacked by a demon. And I don't have the green-eyed envy, the evil envy that Candace Owens got, or the flip-flopping that Megyn Kelly has. I'm not there. I don't care how many clicks I get. I don't care how many followers I get. If people want to follow me for my opinions, good, like Magpie did. So I'm just a typical Aussie, everyday Australian that loves my state, loves my city, loves my country, and by that flag, I want to get it back again. It's a good place to finish because I got to get in outside. So God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless your pets. God bless that flag. God bless this country. And I'll see you tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. See you guys. And thanks again, Magpie.